Or, well, just before I start the meeting, can I remind everyone that the meeting will be recorded?
That's your recording now, Chair.
Okay, I'm just reminding everyone that the meeting is being recorded, and a copy of the recording will be made available for public viewing on the Council's website. Can I go to the agenda and report apologies for absence? I think Jim Swift's the only one.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can I ask, is there any declarations of interest?
No.
No. Okay, thank you. Now we come to the Chair's report. Can I wish you all good afternoon, and further to the consultation to enable us to consider the Treasury Management Strategy prior to submission to the full Council in the middle of March. It is proposed that a special meeting of this committee is convened at 2 p.m. on Thursday 11th of March. Can we formally agree that, please?
Yes, agreed.
Yes, agreed.
I don't hear any dissent, so if you can all put that in your diaries, please. The second thing, as you recall, that last November we noted a report on the issues raised within the COVID-19 Guide for Audit and Risk Committees published by Audit Scotland, and we agreed that a further update should be provided in due course around March or April this year, and that Clarkson should liaise with us at an appropriate time to ascertain the specific issues that we want to seek further feedback on and focus on, or seek further assurances about now. Taking a range of issues into consideration, I've requested that the report on issues of interest to us now is submitted to our first meeting after the end of the current financial year. I've asked the clerk to write to us all to ascertain what we want to pursue to enable her to seek and collate feedback from appropriate officers. Can I ask that each of us has a read at that and get back to the chair, because nobody really other than myself got back to the chair. Well, I don't even think I did get back to chair, the clerk the last time. So if we could have a read at that, see what you want to get back and bring forward to either probably the April one, because March I think is going to be quite busy. Thank you. Any questions so far? Nothing at all, right? Okay, we move on to the only item is the internal audit plan. Can I bring in Michelle here to speak in that?
Good afternoon. The report is in two main parts. Firstly, an update on the progress within the plan, and secondly, the proposals to further revise the plan for 2021 due to the continuing COVID restrictions and resource issues that I've got. 3 audit reports relating to planned 2021 audit work have been issued in the quarter to 31st of December 2020. And Appendix 3 gives you details of these reports. There was no high risk recommendations or recommendations that weren't accepted within these three reports. So I don't really propose to say any more about these at the moment. As previously mentioned, the ability to audit remotely has been very restricted in the period since March 2020. And although the audit team have been trying to progress some audits, it's been extremely slow and has been hampered by how long it's taken to get some responses and information from departments, and also by the lack of access to buildings and documentation. In addition to trying to do some audit work, some of the audit staff time in the period to the end of December and beyond actually has been spent assisting some departments, particularly with business grants, and they're mainly using this to fill in time when they're waiting on information coming back that'll help with the business grants. In terms of fraud, irregularity and contingency time, there's 2 new items that have been dealt with in the quarter using contingency. Neither of these involved actual loss to the council, and one of them was actually checking the data from a new system to an old system to a new system, and that was done just before Christmas. The second part of the report addresses the need to further revise the annual plan for 2021. The committee originally approved the plan early March 2020, just before lockdown, and then they agreed some further deletions in August 2020, and I'm now coming to you to ask for further deletions due to the changing circumstances. In Appendix 1 you can see the proposed revised plan, and whilst this is a greatly depleted plan to the one that you originally approved in March, I've chosen to try and complete the audits that are most relevant to enabling me to provide as much assurance to management in the annual report as possible. So would therefore ask for your approval to defer or delete all the other audits as highlighted in orange and grey. I've given some explanation for the underlying reasons for having to do this in the report, but in summary it's basically down to COVID restrictions giving us restricted access to premises, documentation and officers, greatly reduced staff resources due to secondment, which we already knew about, but more recently long-term sickness. And in total, just between the secondment and sickness, I'm losing about 300 days, which is approximately 40% of my total plan. It's also very impractical trying to carry out audits in departments where key officers that we would need to contact have been diverted to addressing COVID-related issues, and this mainly affects HSCP, education and environment. So a lot of the audits that we are doing, which our main systems are in corporate and community. I think even the revised plan is challenging because I've only got myself and 2 others and they're not both full-time, but we will strive to complete it. And just to give a slight update on the plans, even since I prepared this paper, we have actually issued educational payments since December. We've issued carers legislation, which is actually a 1920 audit. We issued that last week, but it took an awfully long time to clear it. We've also started creditors and debtors in the last few weeks as well. So I think we will complete the bits that are left in the plan. But as I say, I would just ask for you to note the progress so far for the third quarter, to indicate if there's any reports you wish circulated, and otherwise to approve the amended annual plan per Appendix 1.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Does anyone have any questions for Michelle? Or anyone wish to say anything, any comments, anything like that? Is it, yeah, Vanette?
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for this. It was just one question on the plan, which the audits carried forward from 2019-20.
Yes.
It says in progress but suspended. Is that, is there a timeline around that at all?
No, I'll go through each of them actually. The problem is 3 of them are relating to HSCP, so there's very restricted access to HSCP. But as I've just said, the one that's second from bottom on Appendix 1, third from bottom, carers legislation, we finally concluded that and sent the report out I think it was last week or the week before. So that's done. So it's now down to 4 that are outstanding. The 2 that relate to HSCP, care providers and HSCP follow-up, it's very, very difficult to progress them when HSCP are so, it's very difficult to get any staff there. So the follow-up will definitely be done and the care providers will definitely be done, but it's more likely to be put into a future plan. I just don't see them being completed. The stores audit was largely completed during 1920, but then with lockdown we couldn't access a lot of the documents that we needed. So the issue now I've got is that some of the audit samples will be out of date, so I don't know whether we have to resample when buildings start to open. Housing voids is more difficult because that was, again, largely complete, but it was done by the person that's now off long-term sick, so I can't really get an update from them. So I'll have to review those when I do the plan for 21-22.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks, Michelle. Anyone else?
No problem.
Michelle, can I ask, when is it that you're expecting the person that's in secondment, when you're expecting her back?
I got confirmation just this week that I'll have the person back from April 21.
So that'll certainly help.
That helps the situation, yeah.
At least she's trained, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Right, any further questions, any comments?
No.
Nothing at all. Okay, that was the only item on the agenda. Sorry, can I get everyone to agree to this report?
Agreed, Chairman.
No extensions, right? That's fine. Okay, that's all left to do is to thank you all very much for coming. And I think that's everything to be done. I see Linda smiling, so that must be everything. The day must be better for her. Okay, thanks very much for coming along. We'll see you next
Thank
week.
you.
Thank you.
We'll see some of you.